All right, everybody, it's time to set up the UI for our little title. Now, this title is very clearly inspired by a popular video game adventure series. So why change it now? Let's just set up a classic heart system. Okay. Um, on the surface, it's not really all that complicated to do. However, you'll need to pay attention to what's happening and why it's happening because there'll be many layers to this. Okay. First thing we're going to do is inside of our content drawer, we're going to go to, just right here on content's fine. We'll right click, we'll make a new folder, and we'll call it widgets. Okay. And inside of this folder, we're going to right click, go to user interface, and we are going to select widget blueprint. And we're just going to use a user widget that we will call WBP, widget blueprint, underscore, we'll call this heart piece. Okay. Now let's double click to open this up, and I'm going to dock mine here. All right. So if you've never seen this before, this is the widget creator here. So we have a designer and a graph section up here. So pay attention to when I'm clicking back and forth over here. Okay. So for this, all we're going to do first is just create the UI element of the heart container itself. Okay. So all we're going to do here is we're just going to search for an image. This will be like an image container, if you will. We'll just drop that right onto our heart piece widget. And with this image selected, under appearance, there's brush, expand brush, and you'll see there's like a texture option here. Now, if you've been following along with me, you should already know how to add some paper assets to this, but just in case, let's just create a new folder here called UI. All right, and then I'm going to access my folder with all of my art for this project. And there should be an empty and a full version of whatever it is you're going to use. Okay, so with these two assets brought into this folder, I now have to right click, right action, apply to detector settings. Okay, and you'll notice this one is T heart full. So go up here and we will search for T heart full. There we have it. All right. And under the image size here, you'll notice it says 24 by 24, which is kind of what we want. But everything's not quite looking good here. Okay. So we got a couple of things still to set up. First thing we're going to do is we're going to grab this image. We're going to right click. We're going to do wrap with size box. Okay. And then we're just going to go up here where it says fill screen in our viewport, and we're just going to drop down and just click on desired. And now this will show you how we mean for this to look. The only thing left to do here is the sprite's a little bit on the small side. Okay. So select the size box that we just added. And over here we get a child layout override. We're going to turn the height and width on. And we can just set this to 48 by 48. Now we can go back to the actual image itself. And if we look here, there's a section called padding. We're going to go ahead and just add some padding to the left and right sides of this. I'm just going to add 10 to the left and right side. Okay, and you'll notice that this is not really looking super fantastic in its current state anymore because we added some buffer space. So since we added 10 on the left, 10 on the right, we'll go back to our box size. With our width override, we can literally just do plus, and we'll just add the 20 to that. That should even things out for us. Okay. So one last thing, we're going to select this image, and we're going to enable this as variable. And let's call this heart image. Okay, so we're going to go to our graph now, and we are going to create a new function. Okay, and we are going to call this to set heart image. All right, we're going to scroll down below here on the beginning of this function, and we're going to add an input that we will call set full, and it will be a Boolean. All right, so now we're just going to add a branch here, and this will set our condition for us. Get to compile. We should probably grab a reference to our heart image actually. So set brush from texture. There we go. Set brush from texture. Always best to pull off from a proper reference. Actually, I will leave this. Just here, I'll put this. All right, and we'll plug that there. And of course, this one will be the full. Heart full. And then if we take damage, then we are going to set the brush texture, and it will be the empty. Heart empty. Plug that into our false. Just like so. Okay, compile it and save. Okay, so now we've created just the individual heart widget item. But now we want to create the health box or bar where the hearts will be spawned in and out of, or rather their visibility will be adjusted. So this means we need another widget. Okay, so inside of our widget, so this is just the widget for the heart pieces themselves, the individuals. Now we're going to create a new interface widget blueprint, user widget, WPP underscore, and we are going to call this health box. Okay, so this is the box that will hold all of our parts. All right, so we'll double click and open this up, and we are going to grab a horizontal box right to there. Okay, so with the horizontal box, we are going to make this is variable that we will call heart container. All right. Make sure that is variable is checked. All right. So now that we are in the graph, we can destroy these. That's fine. We're going to make another new function. We're going to call this function init heart piece, or heart pieces. And we're going to add an input. And it's going to say max health. And it's going to be a float. All right. And now off of here, we're going to add a for loop, not a for each loop. We're going to add a for loop. Right. We're going to set max health to the last index. We'll get this little trunket. Okay. Now, for anyone who's ever done any real amount of coding, you guys know that when it comes to counting in an index, it counts 0 as 1, which means if we were to go start summoning heart pieces and we were to get our float for the max health, and max health is 3, then it's going to set the number of hearts we have to 3, counting 0 as 1. Means we actually would get 4 hearts. So this first index, we were just going to hard mark it here as a 1. And then the last index is max health. All right, now we're going to spawn the heart widget. So from here, we'll just create widget. Create a widget. Okay, and then the class will be the heart container we made. So that's going to be WBP underscore heart piece. Let's grab this variable of heart container. We'll just get that, which gives us the reference we need to add child. And the content will be the return value. Okay, so this will basically duplicate the heart piece that we've made as a child, and then it can reuse that heart container or heart piece variable over and over again. And with that, we can compile and save. Okay, so now we need to update the health component itself. We can hit play and just test, but like there's nothing there yet, right? And all of that will be adjusted here in a moment. But first, we need to update the current health. And that's going to be done also here in our health box. So we'll make another new function. This function will be called update current health. All right, and then we're going to add an input to this as well that we will just call current health. Which will also be a float. So first, let's get a reference to our heart container. We're going to get all children. So it's just basically asking for all of the hearts in the container. Okay, now we'll do a for each loop. This is an array. This will be however many heart containers there are. It could be 2, could be 10. We'll check the entire array of available heart containers. Okay, so now we want to pass to the heart piece. Cast to WBP underscore heart piece. That's the array element. And then here's the index of the array. So the number of heart pieces in our box will be here. And we need to check if it's less than our max health. We can do just a search here for current health. Get current health. Plug that in there. And then now, last but not least, we can update or set the heart image. Set it like and then the pieces. Okay, so with that, now we can create the actual main HUD where everything gets displayed. So for that, we're going to need another widget. Another widget, and we will right click, user interface, widget blueprint. We'll do another user widget. We'll do WBP underscore main HUD. And we'll open that up. Okay. So for this, we are going to need a canvas panel. So a canvas is the thing that will add this HUD to our camera. So we can just search for a canvas panel and add that down below. Okay. And then up here, we can also search for our health box that we just made. So WBP underscore health box, and we'll add that to our canvas panel. So now that is added to the main canvas. But we're going to have to make some changes. let's select our health box. Okay, and we're going to check the size to content. Okay, size to content. We're going to set its position on the X to like 50. On the Y, we'll set it to like 20. Okay, and we'll leave the anchor left. And then we're going to make this a variable. And then we'll compile and save. All right, so now we can add this to our player's screen. So let's go to our hero blueprint. Okay, and we're looking for event begin play. We've already added a nice sequence. So why don't we go ahead and move this whole thing over here. Okay. And now we'll just paste. Okay. We are at our event begin play. So now in our sequence, we're going to add a new pin, which will give us a then to. And we're going to go down here and we're going to create a widget. All right, and the widget we're going to create will be the WBP main HUD. We're going to promote our return value of this to a variable that we will also call main HUD. Now that we've created the widget, we need to tell it where to go, and we want it to go to our viewport. So we will add to viewport. Okay. And now we can grab our main HUD variable, gain access to the hearts. We get our main HUD variable. We're also going to need our BPC health to get access to our character data, get our character data. And then off of this, we'll have access to the health box. Get WBP health box. Okay. You can already see where this is going. We now have access to the number of hearts and our player's health. So we can just go ahead and break off of this. So we can initialize and set up the max health. So let's grab the function for the init part piece. And then we can set max health. Okay. Now you'll see we've got 3 hearts. That's exactly what we should have, since that's what our hero's starting health, default character data, max health is set to 3. So if I change this to 5, go hit play, and now I have 5 hearts. Okay. So now we can move on to getting the rest of these steps set up. Just to update the hearts, we take damage. So in our BP hero, we want to find the event handle hit extended here. All right, and we did our set invincibility. We can just a little bit, because we are going to update our health right away when the damage is get our main HUD. Right, and then we'll get the health box, update it, and we will update current health. Update current health, plugged in. Okay, so getting current health should be pretty easy. We're just going to get reference to our health component, our character data, break, health. So if we go and try this now, we get hit, and now our hearts will update. So perfect. We got our health all set up. So great job, everybody. And if you have any questions and need help, just say so in the comments, or most likely you know how to reach me. So next, we are going to be setting up the bow and arrow.